Kristen, and this is Marketing for Christians 101, because Jesus said we should be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And there's nobody I would rather have on this premiere episode than the one and only Kim Reynolds, who I like to call the maven of Christian social media marketing. So thank you, Kim, so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And this is a massive blessing for not only Christian filmmakers, but every Christian business person and even pastors, because Kim's expertise is through the roof. I don't think there's anybody, in my opinion, there's nobody better than Kim if you need some help on social media marketing. Kim took the Left Behind movie page from 1,200 Facebook likes to like over 1 million. And she's done that for other movies like Corbin Burnsen's Christian Mingle. She runs Social Media Examiner. She does it all. So Kim is the voice you need to listen to, especially because Dick Rolfe, the founder of the Dove Foundation, told me that Christian filmmakers are really lacking when it comes to marketing. So Kim, you're really doing a service today by talking to our audience.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm just happy to do it.
First of all, what needs to be addressed is, why is marketing for Christians different than just plain marketing?
Well, my thoughts are probably unconventional, and I would say that it's not that different, really. Christians are just people. In some ways, it's easier to market to Christians because it's important in marketing to know your audience. And as a Christian, I feel like I have a good sense of what other Christians find important and their values, because it's all centered on Christ.
Well, and also, Kim, as I was thinking about covering this, I was asked by a filmmaker and actor to make some videos on marketing. And when I talked to Dick Rolfe, the Dove Foundation founder, 2 years ago, and when he said that this is what Christian filmmakers are lacking, so I thought about this the other day. Why are they lacking in marketing? They're not stupid, so what is it?
I think it's money. I think that a lot of these movies are independent films, and they're taking every dime they have to make the best movie possible, and they just don't realize that if you build it, they will come is not true in movies. You have to market your movie and to get the word out to people, and they just don't save the budget for that. Everything goes into creating the film and trying to distribute the film, and nothing into marketing.
And Kim, I just said that to Kevin this morning, that if you build it, they will come mentality. Since this is Marketing 101, can you explain to our viewers why that's not true for films? Because that's news to me.
Well, honestly, I don't think that adage is very true for anything. But especially for films, because you need the audience to know that you exist, and word of mouth is great, but when you're trying to reach a broad enough audience to make a film profitable, you need to market and let people know it's out there.
Well, and that's interesting what you said. Word of mouth is great. People always tend to think of like viral videos, cat videos, Justin Bieber, and they think, oh, word of mouth will suffice. So why isn't word of mouth enough? Is that not a true adage in your opinion?
I think word of mouth is fantastic at scale. If you get enough mouths speaking about it, that's incredible and wonderful, but you just can't rely on that happening. You have to approach a Christian movie like you would approach any other business, and that entails marketing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that point up, because as Christians, you'll hear a lot of people saying, oh, God led me to write this book or make this movie, and if He did, then He'll make it a success. So what would you say to that? That they don't have to do any marketing?
I think that's it's sweet, but it's a little naive. God does make things possible for us, and I believe that, if a project is meant to succeed, that He will find a way, but the bottom line is you still have to do your part. Like, if you were a doctor, you couldn't expect to go heal someone with no medical training at all just because God put it on your heart that this person should be healed. Maybe that's not the greatest example in the whole wide world, but since I'm not one of the apostles, I can say honestly that you have to do the work. God gives us the environment. He gives us the tools, but you got to put in the work.
You know, I'm really glad you said that, because now I see that I kind of had that attitude myself with like for example, I write books, and I guess I always kind of thought, well, if my writing was good enough, or if it was from God, then people would like it and naturally spread the word. So you're saying that's really not the case, in your opinion?
Well, you have to do, like anything, due diligence, if you will. You've got to get out there and let people know that this is a quality product or quality project, and give them a chance to hear about it. And because before any kind of word of mouth can take place, you've got to seed the field, if you will, and that takes marketing.
You know, this is so enlightening for me as well, because like I've done social media marketing and marketing myself, but you're really exposing some of my false presuppositions that I never even realized I had, because I think also a lot of Christians think, well, maybe it's not, my project isn't from God because it's not succeeding via word of mouth.
No, I don't think that's true at all. In fact, you could thank God for giving us all these amazing tools to spread the word. I mean, look at social media. A lot of people are very negative about social media, and they look at all the pitfalls and the downfalls of social. But in reality, there's also that positive side to it also, where how many opportunities have you had to discover something new or share your faith that you would have never had if social media hadn't come around?
I think part of it is actually like a demonic distraction to make believers who maybe their project is from God, but they think, oh, it hasn't taken off, so I must have been wrong about it. So I really believe what you're saying to be true, that that's not the case.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of really worthwhile projects out there that don't get the exposure that they deserve, and for whatever reason, and it's a shame, because Christians are hungry and thirsty for quality content that upholds their beliefs, and they can share with their families, and they can watch and feel good.
Amen to that. And so that brings me to what I think is the elephant in the room of why Christians are not, another reason why they're not doing the marketing and, as you say, due diligence. And when I was thinking about this, I thought, I think part of it is they feel this kind of like smarminess, like, oh, marketing is kind of like a used car salesman, deceptive. And so I think they just avoid it for that reason. They feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of like people don't like going and asking for money. And marketing is kind of along the same way. You get that kind of icky feeling when you think about, oh, marketing something. I shouldn't have to do that. But really, if you look at marketing, it's just about taking a product and matching it to the right person. There's nothing dirty about it. It's just giving your audience an opportunity to discover something they need.
Yeah, I love that. Taking your product and matching it to the audience. Also, it reminds me of like what Jesus said, to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So if your product, movie, book, whatever is from God, then you're actually doing his will. So it's not a kind of creepy thing.
And, there's this part of me that thinks, even if a project doesn't become this big, huge success, maybe you changed one life.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that have been worth it?
Yeah.
One life to be changed, one life to be touched. Maybe you reach somebody that your movie was the only way that they were going to understand something. Yeah. And so for all the filmmakers out there that have maybe had projects that didn't take off and have the kind of commercial success that they had wanted, they also have to look at, how many lives they touch. Someday in heaven they'll know. I'm sure of that. They'll be able to understand the impact. But if you're creating a project from the right place in your heart, success can be measured in a lot of different ways.
Amen. And Kim, I made this little handy dandy graphic. I want to mention regarding social media marketing. The most important thing I learned about marketing, I drew this. Women over 50 spend 2.5 times more than anybody else. So, and that's me. So, basically, marketing to women, and especially with social media marketing, women naturally like to spread things on social media. So if you can tap into women like me who are going to spend over 50, 2.5 times more than anybody else, not only will you get more funds, but we naturally spread the word in ways that men don't, because men just are not geared toward spreading the word. And I read an article in Advertising Age on December 23, 2018 that said the purchasing power of women over 50 has reached critical mass, and that advertisers ignore them to their detriment. So, what are your thoughts on just harnessing the purchasing power and social media power of women in general that advertisers are ignoring?
I think that it's smart because beyond the fact that women over 50 have that discretionary income to spend, 70% of all purchasing decisions in a household are made by women.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And the smart marketer would keep that in mind and definitely tailor those messages, because women, especially most people that I know, feel pretty passionate about their faith. Mm-hmm. And it is something that they want to share. But it's oftentimes really hard to know how to share that. A movie is the perfect vehicle, because you can get out there and you can tell someone what it's about, and a little bit about the message, but you're sharing something that you feel passionate about, and you in turn motivate other people to do the same.
So, what about like concrete tips then? What would you suggest, since you mentioned that the marketing Christian filmmakers, and I would probably add Christian business people in general, don't spend money on marketing? What tips would you have if they don't have a big budget?
Well, to be very wise with their money. Tip number one. No. I would say that social is a great place to put your budget. Social advertising is a great place to put your budget, because you can take a little bit and grow it into a lot. Meaning you can take your budget and you can use it to seed those those really passionate fans, and then give that, get the fire burning a little bit and let it spread. And hopefully it'll spread like wildfire, and then you get the viral video or whatever. But you don't even need to be viral. You just need to get your movie in front of the right passionate people. And a lot of the times those people are women.
And so you mentioned investing in social media. So what do you consider a good investment for like your advertising dollar?
I think Facebook advertising is one of the best investments that you can make right now, because it's so targeted. Mm-hmm. You can absolutely target exactly who you want and get your movie in front of them, get your trailer in front of them. People are watching so much video on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You get more bang for your buck with Facebook right now than any other social network. And it's just, plus that's where the people are.
What sort of like specifics do you recommend for ads?
Well, for a movie, it's all about awareness. Mm-hmm. So you want to be running reach and/or awareness ads where you can just get your trailer in front of as many people as possible, and as many video views. And the great thing about running a trailer as an ad is Facebook has something called a custom audience you can create of all the people that watched your trailer. So then later you can go back with other marketing materials to those same people that have already expressed interest and say, okay, well, you love this trailer, now here, go buy a ticket, support this film, tell your friends. And that's how you find your tribe, your passionate group of people that are going to do the marketing for you.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know it let you target like the same people over and over. That's interesting.
Well, you don't you got the concept of a business funnel, and at the top of the funnel is the widest part, right? And that's where you're running a trailer to as many people as you can afford to let see it. You want them to be targeted, of course.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different ways to target Christians on Facebook without saying, I want a Christian. You go after people that have liked other Christian movies, that like Christian music or Christian radio shows or Christian magazines or Christian books. I mean, there's tons of ways to reach Christians on Facebook. And then once you've got them in your funnel where they've seen the trailer, then you start to go down to engagement, where you know those people are already engaged with your content because they watch the video. Then you could put other materials in front of them to have them engage and share and spread the word. And then at the bottom of the funnel is where you have, well, your conversions, your purchase, like, okay, now buy a ticket. But it's all a process of taking this cold audience that knows nothing about you and slowly warming them up and narrowing them down and helping them through that buyer journey.
So you actually know the names of the people that like respond to your ad? It gives you that?
No, you don't know the names of those people. Facebook, for privacy reasons, but you can create a custom audience that Facebook populates and then retarget them with advertising materials.
Well, I find that really interesting because you hear a lot about Facebook censoring Christians, so I didn't know if they were even, reliable from an advertising standpoint. So
yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, that's good to know. I think that's going to open a lot of people's eyes.
Facebook would be silly to completely disenfranchise Christians.
Yeah.
Because Christians make up a huge portion of the population. What was the last Pew report? Something like 70% of all people identify as Christians in America.
Wow.
It was a huge number.
Yeah.
I could be getting the stats wrong, but it was a really large number. So I don't think Facebook is so short-sighted that they would completely make it impossible to reach our audience.
Interesting, just because you hear about so many Christians that they are censoring these days, so...
Yeah. Well, that does happen, and you and I both know that as time goes on and we get closer to Jesus' return, it's going to happen more.
Yeah. Wow. You are very enlightening. What other tips do you have, just general tips for, like I said, marketing 101 type tips? Doesn't have to be just for filmmakers, but just maybe say, like my sisters both own businesses. One sells artisan chocolates and the other sells Arbonne products. So general tips you have.
Most of everything that I do involves paid media, like paid advertising. So most of my tips are along those lines. But I would say that if you want to harness social to grow your business, it's really difficult to get a lot of traction organically initially because Facebook wants you to pay to reach your audience. However, don't give up. Keep plugging away because the more engagement you get organically, the better your ads do and for a lower cost. So that organic engagement really pays off in the long run. So get on your page, go live, have conversations with your audience, post every day, talk to your people, get your people talking to each other. That's the best way you can grow a page and grow your audience for free.
Interesting. I didn't know the ad, like what you pay for Facebook ads was related to your organic growth.
It really is because, Facebook doesn't come straight out and say that, you have to have an engaged page. But what Facebook wants is to match the ad with the right person, and they want it to be a good experience. And because that's important for people to keep coming back to Facebook. Well, in order to do that, they have to really understand who you're targeting. And the best way they can understand your audience is by looking at what goes on at your page organically. So it definitely pays off.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What about any of the other social media platforms? Do you recommend Twitter, even Pinterest or Instagram to advertise on those, or just...
I love all of them. Instagram, you advertise when you advertise Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram. So the advertising platform is the same. Instagram is just another placement, if you will, for Facebook advertising. So I 100% recommend Instagram. But the other platforms are great too. They just tend to be more expensive. Though Twitter is getting less expensive, believe it or not. So I love Twitter. Been on Twitter a long time, and I don't do a ton of advertising on Twitter, but Twitter is great for getting out there and understanding the conversations around topics and inserting yourself in those conversations and your product and or movie.
Okay. Yeah, I was on Twitter a few years ago, and I just kind of got frustrated with it and got off. So you think it's still worthwhile to be on there?
No, I do. I do.
Interesting.
I mean, a lot of times that's the first place I go for news, especially.
Yeah.
But because hashtags work so well on Twitter, thank goodness, you can really pinpoint the conversations and topics that you want to involve yourself with.
Yeah.
And that's important.
What are your thoughts about TikTok? I don't know if that's even considered social media, but just in general.
Yeah, TikTok is, I don't advertise on TikTok. I've gone through training to know how to advertise on TikTok, but for all of my clients, that's just not their demographic. TikTok is very young. It's, starting to skew a little bit older, and adults are getting on there, but still it still skews very young. And most of my clients, their target audience is a little older than that.
And I know it's kind of sketchy. Like it might even be. I think they're talking about like the government's not even going to allow it soon, or that's possibility.
Well, TikTok was just bought by Microsoft.
Oh, okay. So that went through then.
Yeah. So, and if Microsoft also owns LinkedIn, and everyone was really worried when Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and they own Skype.
Oh,
they
right,
yeah. But they're afraid when they bought LinkedIn that it was going to completely ruin the platform. But Microsoft has been very conservative in how they've made changes, and actually a lot of the changes are for the better. So I can see TikTok not changing much, and if it does, it should be good changes.
Good to know.
I think they need some good changes.
Good to know. Well, this has been a fast, just about half an hour, and I want to say thank you to Kim for joining us in this first episode of Marketing for Christians 101, because motives matter when marketing for Christians. So thank you so much, Kim. We are thrilled to have you, and we're going to have you on episode 2 very soon. So thank you so much, Kim, for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless.